which I will get to in a minute. There are some other things I need to talk about. First off, this game is really easy sometimes, once you get the hang of it. When you first start, this can be really difficult, but it gets better. Trust me, it gets better. Or after practice and a lot of training. Yeah. And like I said, there were balancing issues. It was like during the story mode. With of Simon's story, you will go up against the Grant Dynasty. So here's the problem. Grant is really fast. He can throw knives, he can slide around and attack you even when you're on the ground. Although luckily if you press A in mid-air, or you can regain your footing. Yeah, but I lost him so many times, and my sister lost to him a lot. It's more than likely you'll have to be really skilled to beat him, or you will need to use your super attack to get a good chance of beating him. Them hyper attacks raise the odds. But when you lose him, prepare to hear this phrase over and over again.
Trevor, you ain't.
It gets really annoying, but don't worry.
Trevor, you ain't.
Moving on.
Trevor, you ain't. Trevor, you ain't. Trevor, you ain't.
Okay, I guess. Are you done yet? So moving on.
Trevor, you ain't.
There's also the tutorial mode. Now, tutorials in fighting games are infamous for being bad. So, what are your fears? Well, I can state your fear first from the words of one of my favorite subscriptions, The Angry Joe Show.
Which, you could find a move list anyway by pressing start, and it says, okay, do it. What the fuck? You do it! You tell me what the hell I'm doing and why it matters! And guide me step by step through it. Ugh.
But that is not what this is. This tutorial is very good. It will tell you how to do it, and you have to do it. Although there tend to be a bit of delay. Hey, after you do it, you have to wait a minute. Kind of. Like it's just registering that you did it. Now you have to. Now it has to load. There are some serious loading things. You see, like getting the characters up, or in this case, waiting to move on into tutorial. Those as a beginner, mid, intermediate, and expert area. And it tells you the controls for the controller you're using. Although occasionally it does mention a stick or whatever, or which makes it not quite sure I'm not using the Wii remote, but that's not the point. So then there's the voice acting. The voice acting is okay. First off, upon hearing many of the voices, I was not happy. Some of them sound bland, but over time I grew to them. And some of them sound great. They have great lines. Special. Grant. Grant has the best lines. He's funny. Let me tell you this. Like I said, there are different This is saying Castlevania Judgment at the title screen, but even more. If you pick up a fight against Eric versus Eric, they will say something different to their double. They will say something different at many times. They will always say the same thing in their opening and ending. There are different sequences. like Maria will say, "Good boy, Oscar," and Oscar will land on her hand, and like an adorable bird, or she could put her hands on her lips and say, "Hey, Jessica, hey, something what's that?" And sometimes there are blinds for each of the endings. And sometimes she will say, "Good boy, Oscar," and do the bird motion, or she might say, "Hey, did I overdo it a little bit?" Like that sort of thing. And Aeon, as Maverick Hunter pointed out, whenever he goes into a super move, which it's hard to go into a super move, I'll remind you, whereas some of these moves are seemingly unblockable and some are harder, as the gameplay also has a few lock-on issues. Sometimes you'll wish your attacks locked on, and sometimes you wish they didn't, especially in the mission mode. But here's what was I say? Being the voice acting is good, but you have to get used to it a bit. But then the lines are either funny or uninteresting. But Aeon will literally say something different depending on what character he is using his super move on. And which his super move is pretty cool. Also freeze time and tons of extra clock pieces will fire at you. Each of these hyper attacks are really good and flashy. Some of them they're all pretty cool. They're unskippable though, but I have mine as a lot of them look really good. But so, the voice act. Now, if you don't like the English voice acting, there is an option to switch to the Japanese voice acting, which is a good thing in my book. Look, now I prefer the English voice acting as I'm used to it, and I feel more enjoyment out of their lines, but hey, you do what you want. But there are also some lip syncing issues, because they didn't really modify the math supposed to, talk with the English dialect. Which, it does really come to a problem. You can see that they tried to just patch in the voices to at least look a bit more like it's coming from their mouths. But with the multiple line system, I guess that they didn't care too much. But you just think how they put so much effort into some things, but little effort into others. Those could have put more into others. This game could have used which to be honest, this game could have used a lot more development time. And if you're gonna make a fighting game, you gotta work on it. Luckily, it's not as tacked on as the fighting in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the GameCube. For which I love that game. It's my childhood. But then we did like that mode, but we tended to spam our characters into the enemy character into so you couldn't really actually fight. That's why we stopped doing that. But anyways, then next we got the levels. And by levels, I mean the maps and the challenges. Okay, so first off, the maps are pretty well designed. And there's the clock tower, the torture chamber. All of these maps are good, have their own challenges, but and also note they're 3D. This is not a 2D fighter. You will walk around in circles like any other fighting game, and it's not like Dead or Alive, where you're focused on your opponent. You have free roaming abilities of all time. And also there are boxes that can speed up the firing rate of your items. And your items like classic is take hearts. But then now these maps have the usual. Well, there are stage hazards, which can either be annoying or fun. And although the AI sometimes act really dumb, the AI are programmed well, but sometimes they will want to run right into the acid that drains your life. Therefore, when you're too far away, they will go get a weapon, which is why it's easier to use some hyper attacks, making the aeons on them. But these levels are well designed. But occasionally the camera goofs up, especially on the ship level, the ship map. Sometimes I'm just fighting and it turns to cinematic cameras trying to find a good angle because we're in a corner and fighting so much. Yeah, that happens there a few times. There are ring outs, but you have to be in the air and be pushed by force to actually get them. But sometimes ring outs seem kind of dumb, as half your body is still on part of the clock tower, but you fall through anyway. But there aren't a lot of maps where you can get a ring out. But there are specific maps where you can't get ring outs. But so if you're more for the skill, well, you can do that. And you can also set it to 90 seconds. You can also set different times for rounds and the amount of rounds there. Or also, something that also comes with the map. If you're fighting AI, you can set it to easy, medium, or hard mode. I didn't know about this, so I was stuck on medium. And this is specifically for this mode. But you cannot modify the survival mode to make it hard or easy, which it already is if you're experienced. Instead, or the other modes. So, what? Next, there's the survival mode, which is good when you feel like destroying everything. It's fun, but it doesn't take long. But around 25 battles, I start get kind of bored, and just left. As there is no difficulty spike, but like I said, the only thing that will give you challenge is some of the character inequalities, or you're just playing bad at the game. But it's pretty good. But now, there's also an arcade mode, which I actually never played. Each of these modes have ranking. Let's see if you can get to the top better than all the other characters. I never played the arcade mode. I never really got to that. That's so, oh, that's bad. Well, but as of this review, I've not played it yet. I might talk about it later, another time. Anyways, there's the castle mode where you climb in specific missions to the point where you fight Dracula. Now, this is a good section now, but it also has problems. First, so each mission, in which it does steadily get more and more difficult, so you don't need to worry about difficulty spike. But basically you'll do a challenge with a handicap, like you can't let your opponent or you yourself can't destroy objects for a certain amount of time. You have to do this many combo. You have to collect this set amount of items. You have to collect this set amount of hearts. It's all that stuff. But is there variety? There's variety when you're fighting another character. Where it feels more was better then. But when you start to fight the zombies, the mermen, and the gladiators and stuff, it's going to have you just defeat your opponent so many times that I have even forgotten that I was supposed to collect items or hearts. That's just not because you can look at a mission, but you can't just press on a mission to see what it is. There's no, you have to, if you press on it, you have to play it. Also, you can only refill your health by going to save points, but here's the thing. The save points only happen at certain points. It's just a certain amount of them, and here's a problem. When you first start out, you are going to keep backtracking back to the save points so that you can refill your health and that you won't lose your progress, because sometimes it can be, when you start, it'll be annoying. But as I learned, this game discourages the backtracking. Why? If you go back, you have a chance of getting into a random attack or an enemy ambush, where you'll basically have to fight mermen or zombies, and sometimes these have even resulted in my death, which is incredibly annoying. Incredibly. So I just stopped backtracking unless I was going to one of the branching pathways. There are branching pathways that lead to death, since those pathways are usually more difficult to complete those. So I wait till I've gotten to a save point, as they're usually near the save point. And once you complete a save point mission, then you will receive an item for your character. And in some cases, it feels like they just started being lazy in how do you fight enemies. This occurs in deaths missions where I mostly found enemies. It's all enemy. Except for a few battles where I just stopped caring, as it was repetitive. If you know, repetition, annoying, all of the above. So it can get repetitive sometimes, and sometimes it's just annoying what they take away from you. To make you try to complete some of these missions in actual challenge, like you can't jump, or you have no special attack, or hyper attack. Like in ways, is you will get certain things removed. If you can't dodge, you can't. The enemies will act like rocks and keep moving even when you're attacking them, and then not even flinch. Which all of the above, it's very frustrating sometimes. And so, the final version for these, but, oh wait. Then there's the battle with Dracula himself, who is really difficult. And he will say something depending on what character you're playing as. And so, that's some good effort there. But once you defeat him, you earn that character's or their voice work, as well as a song from the soundtrack, which this is a great soundtrack, so I don't mind. And I completed most of these castle modes and then stopped there, as you can also earn special items in the survival mode, where you face as many opponents as possible, but problem is no difficulty increase. So I have no idea how many the total of items you can get, and you can even replay a castle mode. So for all I know, there could be hundreds of these things. And so I just decided I should, rather than do that, and try to get them all. We decided to go forward with the review. Well, as you've waited long enough. So the The levels get a 5 out of 10. They're average. Which, I like it. There are pros, there are cons. And next up, the bosses. And by bosses, I mean in the characters you fight, the special enemy, the random enemies, and the Time Reaper. There's an impressive... all these fights have challenge in the story mode. They know what characters will challenge you, so that... or what you... this probably is a big thing here. They know what characters are going to challenge you. Which is probably why there's a lack of balancing issues. Because they don't want to make it hard up the difficulty, they just want to make a character more difficult for another character. So as you go forward, you'll face characters more difficult. This is actually done well, as there is challenge to it. It's then, and like I said, every once in a while you will face mooks, enemy mooks. Looks like the mermen or zombies, but there are also two other enemies. The Iron Gladiator and the Minotaur. The Iron Gladiator is different. Of course, depending on what character you're playing as. He's pretty simple. Oh, but then there's the Minotaur, who is hard to time yourself with, as sometimes you think he's gonna swing down his humongous this stone pillar, which has a wider range and longer range than the Iron Gladiator. So he can be difficult, but can be overcome. But sometimes also swings. It's kind of random, but it's satisfying to take these jerks down, I think. Then there's the Time Reaper himself, who is the perfect imagination of skill. Oh, he shoots giant lasers that you can either jump over at the edge of the screen or go really close to him and dodge on it. You can then shoot something from the bottom of the ground, but you can either keep running continuously, which I think when you do this, you'll have a lot of running space. Or you can just hold the block button. He fires skulls, those swings humongous soul, or it has an attack that bursts you awake and put black fiery things in the air, or you just have to blow. Like fire two lasers. He's got everything, but he always does it in a certain pattern, so your only difficulty is to try to do it with your specific character. Or so I get what they were going for here. Or they were trying to make it more difficult depending on what your character is. I give this mode an 8 out of 8. Why I like the bosses. Because this is well done. The challenge, everything. Even if it's a bit cheap sometimes. Then there's the final part of it. The replayability. The most important part. Now, there are several things to add. And there's plenty to do here. Or if you just want to destroy stuff, or collect items, see your character or in an awesome or silly look. Or play some awesome stages, listen to some music. You can see your favorite characters and their interactions, fight the Time Reaper again. Then play the arcade or survival mode. Well, there's a lot to do here. And I give it a 6 out of 10. And as like most fighting games, there is PvP. Now there is actually something you can do if you connect your DS to the Wii. Which I don't think that'll work with my normal DS, as I don't have a DSi, I have a DS. Period. And Nintendo Wi-Fi is down on the Wii. It stopped a while ago, and I don't have a connection, and so I don't bother. Or with it, and you know, that's so. Also note that the best map up in the game or level is the clock tower where you can destroy either some of the platforms, and then a bunch of gears will come out on the sides. You can literally change the map. It's fun. And like I said, so this game overall is a 34 out of 50. An amazing feat. It's now. Don't be discouraged by the score. For I make my scores calculated. I do not put my opinion on it. I give my thoughts and add things in. So if there are certain problems, or if I love the game but it's just not good anyway, well then too bad for me. I was not fond of the score when I saw it, but I like it. It's great for this game, and I think it's good. I recommend you buy it if you have a Wii, and if you have game control, or a Pro, or a Wire, or a Controller Pro, which I think would be better. And I mean classic Controller Pro, not Wii U Pro. So that will be all. Next week I will, or eventually I will be review. We got another one of the games. We got Injustice: Gods Among Us. The Switch shouldn't take that long. The game is not. The campaign is not that hard. And there's just a few missions, so there's not too much I need to go over. Also, I'll note that at my current time when I record it for Castlevania Judgment was 17 hours, 16 minutes, and 35 seconds. So it's not bad. So, and there's even more than that. So, now a lot of that was the story and the castle mode, so I think most of it was story though. So I recommend. So there's plenty to do, and you will get your money's worth. It's pretty cheap on Amazon right now, so I recommend you go buy it. My name is Caleb Magnuson, signing off.